All right, guys. So I'm going to put together a little small test. It's not quite, freezing in Florida, but tonight in Vero Beach, it'll be roughly 36 to 38 degrees tonight with a wind chill below freezing, something like that. So as you see, we have our R1T sitting outside in my driveway. I'm going to take thermometer, and I'm going to take a couple measurements, and you'll be able to see what the temperature is inside the truck. I'm going to show you what the temperature is the battery is sitting at. As you see, it is not plugged in. On the other side, my R1S will be sitting in the garage, same thing, but it'll be plugged in. It is charged to 70, like 68 to 70%. Same thing for this. It's sitting out at that temperature. And we're going to schedule departure, both of these when I wake up in the morning, around 6:30, 7 o'clock. And what I'm going to do is see what the vehicle does on its own. I'm going to have the temperature set, and we're going to see if the battery warms up, if the vehicle pulls power from the charger. Since this is plugged in, and Rivian does say in that new email to leave it plugged in for thermals and all of that. So we're going to do everything they say, and we're going to see what the vehicle does. So first, we're going to start with in the garage. The temperature in the garage, I can check multiple spots, but between the 3 garage door openers, it says 63 in there. This one over here says 59, probably. About 59. This one's always a little bit cooler. The water heater's right there. And this is right on the wall for the house. Inside the garage on the floor, you see 61. So we're about roughly in that ballpark. I'm gonna open up the R1S. And we'll take a couple of spots. Dashboard is 62. Screen is at 62. Seat is at 60. Steering wheel is at 60. And then what we're going to do is scroll up on here. And we're going to go here. The battery right now is sitting at 62 degrees. As you see over there, it's charged complete, 62 degrees. That's our starting out temperature for the R1S. And the charger, just so we can have a temperature on the charger. Charger handle is 56 as of right now. Obviously, the garage door is open, so it's going to be a little bit chillier. And we'll go out to the R1T. I did drive the R1T to go get our dinner. So as you can see here, R1T may be slightly warmer, but it's been sitting outside now for almost 2 hours. So hold on one second while I unlock the car. All right, I'm getting ready to unlock the car. I'm going to use my Apple Watch to do that. Truck's waking up. All right, so as you can see outside, we're going to hit this right here. Temperature outside, paver bricks are sitting at 51 degrees right here. This panel is sitting at 48. Mirror, 44. Same on this side. It's a little cooler over here, 48. And let's see, 48, 45 on the tires. Let's get in and see what we're looking at in here. 56 on the seats. 59 over there. 58. 60 on the screen, and the steering wheel is sitting at 57. So it's quite cooled down. All right. As you see, battery pack is sitting at 59 degrees. The R1S was at, I think, 62-ish is what I think we saw it at. So these are our starting points. Temperature is set to, climate is set to off right now. So that way in the morning when I get up to come out here and see the temperature, you'll be able to see without it trying to warm itself before that. Outside ambient temperature, according to the vehicle, is saying 46 degrees. That's what it's saying the outside temperature is. So we shall see. All right, guys. we'll see how this test concludes in the morning. This will be interesting to see how the vehicles perform as far as time, for them to precondition themselves, and everything. Talk to you in the morning. All right, guys, here we are in the morning. Temperature, according to this, is 59 degrees in the garage. Water heater's been running a lot. And as you see over here, the one that actually is a better read, because this one's actually on the outside wall, 53. It's currently 53 in here. So we're gonna check the temperature again. Garage floor sitting at 60. 56 on the panel. 56 on the panel. Let's see what the charger is sitting at. 54 going into the car. We'll come inside here and see what the R1S is sitting at. $57 steering wheel, 58. And the battery in the car has gotten down to 59, and the truck is saying it is 54 degrees in the garage, as you can see there. Temperatures are still set to off, so nothing turned on automatically. The vehicle woke up. Gonna close this. To keep this more accurate, I'm gonna pause while I walk through the house. Actually. All right, now we're out front. Had to go through the house. Gorgeous moon and sunrise coming up here in Florida. It is 38 degrees outside. You actually can see your breath outside in Florida. Wild. Here we go with temperatures. Ground is sitting at, paver bricks are sitting at 45. Let's see, panel here, 33 degrees. 31 degrees. 36 on the tires. 37 here. Since we had a north wind, we'll come over to this side. 35. 34. All right. Gonna unlock the truck. You can hear the train off in the distance. All right, Rivian's waking up. Let's see what we got down to in here. 37 degrees inside the truck. 37. 38, 39. The vehicle is saying it is 37 degrees outside. The battery is at 51. Remember, so it's lost 8 degrees overnight sitting outside in this temperature. 8 degrees. Not bad. All right. Next up is I'll do a screen recording so you guys can see of the preconditioning of both vehicles, and we're going to see what happens. We know for a fact that the R1T is not going to try to pull power because it's not plugged in. So most of the video will have me videoing the R1S so you can see if it pulled power or not. All right, guys, here is the starting temperatures for both vehicles, 52 and 36. R1T on the right, R1S on the left. Right now, you're going to see us setting up the scheduled departure for 7:45 a.m. And the cabins will be set to 78 degrees. As you can see, both of them are going to be set to the exact same settings. The R1S, for whatever reason, took the schedule like it should have, but it only showed that the set temperature was set to 76 once it was set for 78. We do not know why this was the case, but that's what it did. And you will see that throughout the test, we do show you at the very top of the screen, as you can slide down like a notification area in the Rivian app, and it'll show you that it will say scheduled to reach 78 degrees by 7:45 a.m. The test starts around now. You're seeing that little fan icon in the top right-hand corner of the Rivian app letting you know that it has started preconditioning. I will open my Tesla app a few times so you can see what's going on over there if the truck is pulling power. But if you miss that, you can also look at the R1S's charge light ring around the charger, and you will see that it starts to charge or pull power from the wall. As this test begins, you're going to see that right now the cabin is at 45 degrees in the R1T, and it was at 53 degrees in the R1S. And this is where things are going to get a little interesting because, again, the R1T started at a much warmer temperature where the R1T is starting at a very, very cold temperature. Now, again, it's only been about 3 minutes and the vehicle, or the R1T, has a registered interior cabin temperature of roughly 54 to 55 degrees. So after 16 minutes, you see that we're at 66 degrees and 64 degrees respectively in the R1S. This gap is going to begin to widen. And mind you, as you see there in that Tesla app, the R1S is pulling power from the wall right now. The R1T is not. The temperatures are currently 70 degrees and 74 degrees after 10 minutes of preconditioning. The R1S, as you see, is struggling for some reason. We do not know the actual reason of it struggling to get above certain temperatures. I don't know what it is doing. But to say the least, at the end of the day, it's not something that for this test that I am worried about to go out and try to fix. Again, we want to see what the vehicle does. The R1T, after 14 minutes of preconditioning, is at 75 degrees, and the R1S hits its maximum of 70. Yes, you heard me right. I said 70 degrees. That was the max temperature it hit. And again, this test is going to finish at 7:45. The R1T has reached 77 degrees in 17 minutes. The R1S is now down to 66 degrees. So it actually hit a maximum of 70 and dropped 4 degrees. And this is where it's going to stay for the rest of this test. And again, you'll hear me talk about this in the next part of the video, but as far as battery warming goes, when it comes to this, the battery, we do not exactly know what the thermal limits are as far as heating and cooling. We do know that the preconditioning for fast charging is a target temperature of 77 to 87 degrees. Somewhere in that ballpark is where the vehicle wants to be. Now, when it comes to preconditioning the cabin, as Rivian has said in their cold winter tips, leave your vehicle plugged in so that way it can pull power and do what it needs to do to warm itself. However, in my test, my vehicle's batteries in the R1S was at 59 degrees and the R1T was at 51 degrees. Neither vehicle raised the temperature of their batteries, and I do believe this is due to them already being in or well within their nominal operating range, which means the vehicle doesn't necessarily need to heat the battery up for any reason. So it doesn't expand any of that usage or energy to heat the battery up. Now, I do believe if the battery was significantly colder, let's say the battery was in the 20s and 30s, yes, I do believe it would start to heat itself up. But again, I can't necessarily test that all the way down here as my battery will not get that cold down here in Florida, unfortunately. But I do know that I think when it comes to the interior cabin sensor, I think this is somewhat of a software and a hardware bug. I think it's a software bug far as something else that occurs in a separate test that I show later in this video. But far as I can tell, there may be something hardware related to the interior cabin sensor of my R1S. As you see currently, it is sitting at 68 degrees. And the test is getting ready to end at 7:45 a.m. So it's only got 2 more minutes left. And you see it never reaches the set 76 that it's showing you or the scheduled 78 degrees. So again, you'll hear me jump back in here in just a second to tell you about the other thing I recorded about the high and low. All right, guys, quick temperature check inside the car. This is saying 70, 68, 80 up there. Steering wheel should be 76 because I did heat the steering wheel. dashboard, 79. Right here, 69. Back in the back of the car, 72. So the R1S did not reach its target temperature of 78 degrees while having every advantage that it did. However, as you can see here, this did raise to 1 degree-ish, and I think that was just from charging. That wasn't the car doing anything, that was just it. Now, do we know if that's a warm enough temperature? I think the battery is warm enough for 4 regions, so that's why I probably didn't do any warming. Let's go check the R1T. Sorry guys, had to get to the watch to open it. And here's the R1T. First things first, 51 degrees. So no, the car did not raise the battery temperature at all. Also, it could mean that it is already warm enough for it to do full regenerative braking, so it doesn't need to actively warm it. That could be a thing. Temperature in here, 87 on the seat, 73 there, 82 on that seat, 78 on the dash, 79 up there, 75, and we did see the car actually reach the temperature that it needed to reach in this scenario. However, right now the temperature is set to 78 because we just opened the car, so it is blowing air. Let's see what that temperature is coming out of there. 121, 120 is what it's blowing out. So in this particular test, the R1T actually did better. I've said before, I think there's something actually wrong with my R1S's HVAC system because it's been doing this ever since. It never reaches its target temperature unless I use max defrost or max cooling. That's the only way I can get it to ever reach a certain targeted temperature and keep it. But as we can see here with the preconditioning here, the cars had 45 minutes to precondition and do everything they wanted to do. The battery in the R1T, this car was unplugged and sat out overnight, never raised the battery temperature, not once in this test. Again, that could mean that it was already at a high enough temperature. And the R1T, R1S, same thing. But the R1S this car never ever reached the 70, above 70. And in my screen recording, you'll see that the vehicle never ever reached 70 degrees. Well, it did reach 70, but it never went above that. And it actually went down to 64, 66, 68 is the highest the car had ever got for whatever reason. Thanks, guys. All right, guys, this is another short test I did here. I set the climate to high in the R1S, and I want you to notice already it's showing that the vehicle is at 79 degrees. So we know the car can go above what it did in the previous test. This test is showing you just how I think there's a software bug with the interior cabin sensor. You see I switched it to low. Within I close the app and you reopen the app and it's gonna come open, and as soon as I check the temperature in the cabin, it's gonna say it's 72 degrees. There's just no way that the cabin temperature has dropped that significantly that quickly. So I think there is some type of software bug in there going on, and I think maybe it isn't a hardware issue. Maybe it's just a software bug that needs to be, tweaked, or they need to recalibrate the interior cabin temperature sensor. As you see, I switched it back to high, and almost immediately it jumped to 77 degrees in the car. And this can be done you can constantly keep doing this and you'll see the same thing. Now here's the R1T, and it's showing you, again, it's 81 inside the vehicle. And as you also see, it's showing you that its vehicle's actually charging, but again, it's trying to also backfill itself from using the heater. You're gonna see I'm gonna switch it down to low. Now, mind you, at the bottom, it showed a sign that said no cloud connection. So when you go back, it's not gonna show it because it didn't switch to the low setting. But I'm gonna switch it again because it didn't take. And you'll see what happens once I do that. Same thing will happen in the R1T. It's gonna go from 81 degrees down to 72 degrees almost instantly. I mean, it's it dropped. There's no way it can drop 10 degrees that quickly. It's just not that fast. Now, the only thing I can think of is the interior temperature sensor is somewhere directly in a vent path, which, the way the vehicle was designed, I think that may not have been the best idea, but they could have done it for all kinds of reasons. But I do think they can get around this with software, maybe by using an offset or maybe just recalibrating the sensor to see if that's the issue. But I personally think we need to get this software bug fixed, because the problem you run into with this is I don't know what to actually believe per se in the car. If you use pet mode as an example and you put your pet in the vehicle and it's set to 72 degrees, but when I look back at my app, sometimes, especially in the R1S, for me, it'll say 66 or 64, or sometimes it'll say 74. It's just not the number that I'm asking for. So I really do think that we should work on that, because it kind of brings me a little bit of pause to know that I can 100% trust what the cabin is telling me on the inside. If I'm calling for 72 and I'm seeing 66, within 5 or 6 minutes, I'm expecting that cabin to get warmer, and I'm not seeing that. So I hope you guys learned something today from this test. It wasn't super duper scientific. I did the best I could. If you have questions or anything, let me know, reach out. And of course, we're going to send this up the chain to people in Rivian to see if they can get this or check into it. Hope you guys have a good day, and thank you for watching.